Good evening, Dr. Stone. This is Akana Nigro, here to discuss the lactate pathways between the liver and muscles. This is referred to as the Cori cycle. And here I'm here to demonstrate with a PowerPoint. And here, the Cori cycle is the lactate pathway between the liver and muscles. The Cori cycle, here we're going to discuss what it is, why it's important, major steps of this pathway, how the pathway is affected by exercise intensity and training adaptations, how lactate and lactic acid differ, and discuss how lactate can be used metabolically and the consequences of lactate accumulation on our ability to sustain exercise. What is the Cori cycle? It occurs in the liver where lactate undergoes a process with the enzyme lactate dehydrogenase to produce pyruvate, which then undergoes gluconeogenesis to produce glucose. Attached here is a great YouTube video example of the Cori cycle. So why is it important? Under anaerobic conditions, when glucose is unavailable, muscles become deprived of energy. So the Cori cycle is an alternative way that the body is able to use the byproduct lactate as a means to produce energy as glucose. So the major steps here of the Cori cycle are the lactic acid production or fermentation. This is where the lactate is processed by the enzyme lactate dehydrogenase and is converted to pyruvate. Pyruvate then undergoes the process of gluconeogenesis to form glucose. So how is the pathway affected by exercise intensity and training adaptations? Well, lactate typically clears within 1 hour, and it's best via active recovery, such as light walk or jogging, at about 60 to 65% of your max heart rate. So what is the difference between lactate and lactic acid? A great example here is this YouTube video. And the enzymes or molecules themselves, you'll see lactic acid has an additional hydrogen atom here, whereas lactate does not. So can lactate be used metabolically? Well, lactate threshold training can help the body train at or just above the lactate threshold heart rate. So types of this training include interval training or steady state training, or combinations of interval training or HIIT training, high intense interval training, in addition to steady state training. So what are the consequences of lactate accumulation on our ability to sustain exercise? Well, once your lactate levels have superseded your body's ability to recycle them, you've reached that lactate threshold. And at this point, your body is also releasing additional hydrogen ions within the bloodstream. So that in turn decreases the pH and creates more of an acidic environment within the bloodstream, resulting in that burning sensation. All right. So that concludes the Cori cycle and the lactate pathway.